Is it me or you for this? I think it's you.
I think it's you this time. It's you. I did last time.
I had
did last
idea.
time.
I think it's you.
I did last time.
I definitely think it is you. No, I definitely think I'm going to keep all this in.
My
It's
idea for
definitely you.
electing,
No, I think it was you. I think. Well, we do it together.
Okay, sounds good.
Right, you go first.
Hey, everybody. Ben totally conned me into doing this week, even though I did last week.
It was your idea. It was your idea.
For tuning in this week, we have a great episode. Just catching up. Ben's awesome event that he had in Belfast. A bunch of lifting, bunch of bonding, bunch of mental health, focusing on one another, kind of the experiences there with such a great group of folks, as well as talking a little bit about our massive dirty bulks that we're doing right now with 10,000 calories that we're eating. That's not what we're talking about today, but the surpluses and deficits and how you can look at how to calculate your calories. Cause I think it's a huge confusion thing that most people really get confused on. I'm like, how many calories should I have? I want to lose. And why am I not losing any more weight after I've lost weight? We go down into all the science behind that, clear up any misconceptions about calories and stuff. And Ben shares some very personal details about himself.
At the end.
I don't think there was anything
so
about that.
Stay tuned right to the end. So you have to listen to the whole thing right to the end. Enjoy the episode.
See you all.
You know that there has had to have been some sacrifice, whether it's time or nutrition or whatever it is.
Recording myself talking about having a relationship with my chest.
I'm Ben Canning.
I'm Dave Kennedy.
And this is Hacking Health Podcast. Yo, what's up, everybody? Today we are cutting it fine again. It is the night before we're due to go live. I feel like this is too much of a recurring theme, but we're here. We will be live. Apologies for any technical difficulties that we had with YouTube last week. I'm not necessarily sure what happened, but it's sorted now. Everything is good. Episode 110. Welcome.
Yeah, it's I heard the audio issues were a little bit messed up as far as like no sound or something like that. Is that what happened?
After the intro there was just nothing. But I mean, I sat and put it together and it was all uploaded perfectly. I just had to re-upload it, but because I needed to keep taking my laptop away from where we were, it didn't actually give it time to upload to YouTube, so it didn't actually upload until Friday whenever I was back here. But it was good to go on every other platform but YouTube because it was just the audio. But yeah, sorted it right away. I got up on Tuesday morning and I was like, bad news. And I was like, what's wrong? And he goes, the podcast, there's nothing on it. I was like, what do you mean there's nothing on it? But we sorted it right away.
Yeah, so we did it. We did a little switcheroo where we didn't actually do a podcast. We just put a blank one up there.
just to see how long people would listen for. People like 45 minutes in being like,
still nothing. This is a long intro.
But no, everything's good.
We've actually caught up really, I think, in like 2 weeks because you've been a busy man and I've been busy as well. But I mean, you especially with the events and with everything else. But it's good to see your face and get to talk to you again because it's been a bit.
I know. I feel like we haven't even been good. Maybe I'll say I haven't been good at texting back and forward communication. I feel like I've been MIA. So this is my apology. But no, good. The event last week was, there was a lot to it. It was different because it was at home and there was a lot of like trip down memory lane, nostalgia. It was just a very unique, odd experience. So we were obviously in Belfast for the event. We stayed in an Airbnb in a place called Acrobos, which is probably about 40 minutes outside Belfast. But we actually, me and mum and my family obviously used to live up there, so it wasn't too far from where we used to live. So that was the first nostalgia. We then obviously trained in Gymco, which is where I used to coach out of. I trained with Helmy, obviously. So he came and coached the guys and girls. We went to Slim's, which is the juice bar that I quit my job of. We went there for lunch. So there was a lot of like, I don't know, full circle, oh fuck moments. It was just my head was all over the place in terms of like, what the fuck's actually going on.
I saw your brother making some drinks, which is great.
Yes, so, he was making drinks in Rome as well. It was good to have the family there as well. And I think the sort of general consensus from the whole event was it was good for everybody who's sort of seeing to my world, because obviously, Ali came up, Helmy was there, my family were there. So there was like a different sort of perspective than usual. And it was so funny on the Wednesday night, just as everybody left for dinner, Mum came up and she goes, we're coming to America for the next one. So Trish maybe joining us in America for the next one. But it was really good. We did everybody arrived on Friday night. Sean came down. He did some hypnotherapy with the team on Friday night, which was cool. Did some breathwork then on Saturday morning. We went to Gymco, trained with Helmy on the Saturday, which was cool. He gave a sort of, I felt like I was the assistant coach, which was good because it gave a total sort of fresh perspective and approach to training. Sunday, we did the cold water swim, and I was thinking about you the whole time. I was like, there's absolutely no fucking chance. This is why Dave's not here, because he knew this was going to happen. But we did that, and I have to actually shout out to Luke and our man. So you can imagine it's like 7 a.m. We've had to drive an hour to get to this place. It's torrential rain. It's dark. We were there for a sunrise swim. There was no sun whatsoever. Neither Luke or our man can swim, and they both fucking just jumped in and went for it in the hope that someone was going to save them. So they got in, they got it done. We did the cold water swim. We went back. Kira then drove up from Tipperary, which respect to that because it's like a 4-hour drive. She did some mindset and meditation stuff, and then we had a Trish P speciality party, which I think went down very well. Monday we had a bit of a free day. Some people went and got tattoos. We did the Titanic Museum, some sightseeing stuff. Tuesday we did another day in the gym. Again, a little bit more around education than just actually all-out training, which I think there's a huge benefit to. Something that I'm going to incorporate into your training in our next training block whenever we have that conversation. Mechanical drop sets, which you can blame Helmy for and not me. I'll send on his number. And then Wednesday, I did the most sightseeing and tourist things that I have done ever in my whole life in one day. Like, we went to Giant's Causeway with the Dark Hedges, we went to Bushmills, we went to like 2 castles. Like, we did maybe 5 or 6 different tourist attractions in Belfast, and then obviously we went out for dinner on Wednesday night, which was actually a really good roundup. So overall, hugely successful event. Have to shout out to Trish and Mark because they pulled me out of a hole a couple of times. They come up, cooked for everybody, whenever I hadn't necessarily planned for that to happen. But yeah, it was a solid. And I do think from the feedback that of all the events that we do and everywhere that we go, that will be an annual event at home. So tune in next year for the Reactive Belfast Volume 2.
The date's locked in, so I can lock them in and make sure I'm actually there.
I think I've already locked them in because I always laugh. So anytime I book something, I asked Matt, is he available? And he has a son every other weekend. And he's like, you have a 50-50 chance of getting this wrong every time. And 100% of the time you get it wrong. And I was like, right, next August next year, what dates are you free? So I'm thinking that I have the dates locked in, but I'll confirm it in the next couple of days.
Yeah, that's awesome. Sounds like a great event. And, obviously in your hometown, and to get the show, kind of where you progressed and trained, for the longest time. And, that's great. That's awesome.
There was
definitely had a lot of FOMO. There's no question.
Well, you had the opportunity to come. That's all I'm going to say.
I was invited, but I couldn't go.
We're not doing same. We're not doing them behind your back. Like, you're obviously invited, but it's funny because your biggest fear of like training and always remaining the same. Obviously, I was back in a gym that I hadn't been in like for over 3.5 years, and there was the same people there doing the same thing, looking exactly the same.
Exactly the same.
Yeah, I was like, fucking hell. Even down to like everything in the gym was the same. Like, there's a digital clock that sits below the sign. The sign says, I can't remember what the sign says. Anyway, there's an neon sign, there's a digital clock just below it, and the clock has always been wrong. The time on the clock's always wrong. It's still wrong. I'm like, how has nobody fixed the fucking clock at least?
3 years from now,
it's still wrong. But yeah, it was a really good event. Sorry that you couldn't be there, but yes, we will definitely. I'm event free. Our next event's not for another 5 months, so we get the dates locked in, make sure everybody can come.
Got some.
How are you? Sure. What's going on with you?
Oh, dude, things have been great. Listen, I can't complain. Everything has been, busy. Work has been insane. It's one of those things where, Q4 for me is like probably one of the hardest time periods because, I have the grind of everybody kind of trying to finish everything out before end of year. And so it's like everybody's getting rid of their budgets and, everybody's doing this and we're planning for next year and forecasting. We have meetings and just all these things kind of hitting at once. And so it's been actually a lot of work that I've been having to do. I've been putting up a lot of late hours, working on weekends and things like that, but still getting my training in, still focusing on the sheer amount of calories that I have to eat, which is starting to get uncomfortable. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but things have actually been really good. I fly out to New York tomorrow, so I'll be gone for a couple of days in New York, just catching up with some folks there. But It's been really good. It's been really, really fun. Family's doing great. I, can't say I had a massive party that I got to hang out with a bunch of people and, chill, but I did get a new hot tub. So I've been using that like every day. My hot tub finally kind of kicked the bucket, and it's been a disaster. That hot tub's been a disaster since the first day I purchased it. So very happy about that. But I also got this like automatic controller that so it's kind of like a little shelter that's built around it, and it has hydraulics built into it, so the cover goes up and down. And the reason I got that is because where I live, the wind is insane and it destroys my cover, so I need like an actual structure there. And so I took apart the controller and I soldered a wireless controller on it, so that now I can do it remotely, which I'm sure
hacked it, is what you're saying?
is definitely not safe, but it'll be fine. Yeah, so I hacked it. So because like if you think about it, if I'm in the snow, if the snow's outside, I don't want to sit there and like slowly open up this damn thing. It's like, and then I'm sitting there waiting. So I got this wireless controller now that does it for me inside the comfort of my heated home, that I can just run out there very quickly and reduce the amount of time that I have to be in the cold, i.e. never getting a cold plunge #. So, it's good to get that. Aaron and I were actually in it last night. So that was good to catch up. But no, things have been going really good. Just busy, dude. Busy with life. And that's a good thing, right?
Good. That's what we want. I mean, you're saying that quarter four is busy. I'm like, we're not even in quarter four yet, but I get it. I get what you're saying.
I'm definitely in quarter four right now, but we also did a huge launch, as you're aware of the secret launch of Free Smiley. So Trust Dissect did a major rebranding effort, where we basically, changed the colors and kind of the look and feel of Trust Dissect's brand. And, the team has been working on it for over 6 months. I think it's like 8 months, actually. It's everything from our website to our swag to our marketing stuff. It hits every aspect of our reports and deliverables and what our customers see, but it's really polished, looks really awesome. And the thing I think I'd like the best about it is, you look at it, it looks like kind of like that cyberpunk, type of feel to it, the green colors and the code, and kind of gives you that underground type of feel. So I really, the marketing team did a really good job with it, and super happy with the launch. The website looked awesome. So I'm super excited about that. Today. It just happened today. So super excited about that.
I mean, do you know how hard it was? Well, maybe you do know how hard it was. Do you know how hard it was to keep that a secret?
Yeah.
Because obviously I was there with Ryan.
Shirts at a time and everything. And then you're like, I can't wear the shirts. Yeah.
No, but good. Yeah. I mean, it looks awesome. I think not to give Ryan the credit, but the video that Ryan did and how he pulled everything together was absolutely awesome. So good to see. Glad I actually get to wear the shirt now and it's not like undercover anymore.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because Jessica, our head of marketing, and the marketing team, she was really really persistent about, hey, don't leak this until it happens. And I updated my background on Twitter, and it had it in there. I totally forgot about it. I'm like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to pretend it's in there.
I noticed whenever you updated the video with the announcement, I was like, oh, yeah. I'm like, sneak peek.
Yeah. I was like, please no one notice this, or I'm in some serious trouble right now. I have to redo everything again. So lucky no one noticed. It was great. So
good. Right. So today we want to talk about the struggles of being in a gaining phase.
Yes.
This is going to be like, oh, woe is me. Look at us and how many calories we have to eat. It's so difficult, blah, 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 blah. But I do think that there is a reality to the struggles that you face in a different phase. And I think it's easy to look at, oh yeah, you get to eat so many calories, it must be so easy, blah, blah, blah. But it's looking at it from the other side of people who have limited calories whenever they're in a fat loss phase or whatever. And I think that both sides provide their own struggles. And I think it's good for us, as we are in the midst of it, to give our true in real time struggles that we're facing. I will say that I received a voice note from Dave on Sunday saying, this is how our coaching relationship now is. So I received a voice note from Dave on Sunday being like, so I dropped weight this week. Do you think it'd be okay if I went to 3,500 calories? And I just sent a message back saying, I dropped weight this week. Do you think it'd be okay if I went to 3,500 calories? And we both went, yes. Okay. So we're both now on 3,500 calories.
Well, it's funny because the message today too is, you were like, hey, to get more volume through your legs, I think I'm going to switch to a push and pull if you're okay with that. Do
full body push pull. Yeah.
Body push pulls. And I responded back. I said, hey, this is a great idea, but I'm going to redo this message as if I came up with the idea. So give me 1 second. I'm like, hey, I just came up with this great idea. I think we should do push pulls, But it was funny because I got on the scale and, I've been eating, we were eating 3,000 calories, right? It was 3,000?
3,200.
3,200. And I got on the scale and I lost 4 pounds. I'm like, damn it, like I'm not supposed to be losing weight. This is the exact opposite of what I want to have happen. Then I need more calories, so it's a good problem to have, but it's at this point now it's starting to get fairly uncomfortable. And the goal with this, and if you think about this, this is what took me the longest time. And actually, when you explain it to me, I still don't understand this. It's the calorie magic thing, right? But when you're at a certain weight, okay, let's just say I'm at 200 pounds and I'm eating 2,000 calories a day. Just keep simple math, okay? And at 2,000 calories, I don't gain any weight or I don't lose any weight. It's what we would consider maintenance or what your total daily energy expenditure is. If you increase calories, you will gain weight, right? If you decrease calories, you will lose weight. Now, it doesn't always stay the same, though. It fluctuates. So as you gain more weight, your body thus, either A, you're gaining fat or you're gaining muscle. It takes your body more weight to slug around. So thus you're going to be burning more calories. And same thing from a muscle perspective. It takes more calories to maintain and keep muscle than not. So, as a byproduct of getting heavier with muscle, you will continuously burn more and more calories. So, when I first started with Ben, I think I was on like 2,000 calories. Right now my, total daily energy expenditure, probably maintenance is right. Well, right now it's probably at 3,000 calories or 3,200 calories or so. Right. So I can eat, 3,000 calories and not gain any weight. Whereas when I was in 2,000 calories, I wouldn't gain any weight. So I've added 1,000 calories to my daily intake that I have to eat in order to maintain the same mass that I have today. Now that changes though, right? So as I get heavier, by the way, I think I was at 2,700 when I was at 220, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think is what I was at. So at 2,700 calories, I stayed lean at 220 pounds. So now I'm at 231 pounds. So an additional, 11 pounds. I need additional calories to maintain that weight because I'm slugging around more muscle. I'm slugging around more fat. I'm not as lean as I was at the 220 mark versus 230. Obviously makes sense. So I need more calories to keep increasing in weight. If I just kept with, 3,200 calories or 3,000 calories, I wouldn't gain any additional weight or muscle. I'd stay the same essentially, right? So we have to put our bodies through this both on a decrease and an increase. And these are things that I think a lot of people don't recognize when they're trying to cut body fat, is that when you get to a lower weight, let's just say you're down to 180 and you used to have 2,000 calories that used to lose weight, but you can't lose weight anymore. Well, that's because you're not slugging around an additional 20 pounds of weight and you probably have less muscle mass, or you're able to shed the fat while maintaining muscle or building muscle, which is possible to do with the surplus of protein. You're going to have a lower amount of calories that you have to eat in order to continue to lose that weight. So it's just changing the math of how big you are and looking at the scale and your measurements and progress to see, are you doing the right things? Are you gaining muscle mass? Are you increasing weight? And if the answer to those are no, well, maybe one, I'm not eating enough protein to be able to build the muscle mass. Or my calories are too, I'm building, fat too fast. Maybe I'm getting 4 or 5 or 6 pounds a week, which is not possible to gain, that in muscle mass. So, you need to look at that from a balanced perspective of getting the right amount of protein, getting the right amount of calories, increasing a pound or 2 or 3 or 4 max. And from there, adjusting as you go up more in weight, and then looking at that and saying, okay, well, I'm steady this week, I'm steady the next week. Let's go up again, 200 calories, which, thus if you take 200 calories times 7, it's going to be, 1,400 additional calories that you're eating per week. So it's just a math game when it comes down to how do you do a bulk and how do you do a cut? And those are bad terms because it's associated to eating whatever you want to. We're not eating whatever we want to, we're just increasing our calories from a whole foods perspective and everything else. But yes, it does leave a little bit extra time for Skyline chili and some other things. So, it's good to be able to do that and have the flexibility. But once you start getting to the 3,500 to 4,000 calorie mark, things start to get uncomfortable. We were just talking before the podcast and we're like, man, I just don't want to eat right now. I'm good.
Well, the thing that I find, and I don't know whether you'll be able to read this, I find that I'm and this is a real, I guess maybe not an overshare, but this is where I'm at. I feel like I'm out of breath because I am so full of food. I feel like there's not enough capacity inside me to fully breathe. So I'll find myself, if I'm on a call or talking now, I really have to stop and take my breath because I don't have the same lung capacity because I'm actually full of food. But I will say, we were sat with Helmy on Tuesday, who is a big boy. Yes, we can confirm. Everybody who's there can confirm Helmy's a big boy. Actually, like to take a moment to say I'm kind of proud of Helmy, and this is maybe a bit of an obscure tangent, but he came out for lunch with us on both Saturday and Tuesday. He also came up to the party and ate, not from his Tupperware, ate like normal people human food on the Sunday, and then he came out with us on the Wednesday night for dinner too. So 4 social events where Helmy didn't eat out of his Tupperware. I was very proud of him.
Wow.
But people were asking him how much he was eating, and he was like, "Oh, I'm eating about 5,000 calories." People were like, "Oh, are you trying to gain weight?" And he was like, "No, this is just what I need to maintain." And they're like, mind's blowing. But it's the same thing. It's like there physically is more of him. He is solid in terms of like how he's built. So actually just to maintain that takes another level of calories overall. So yes, okay, you and I are complaining about eating 3,500 calories, but being at the range of, just having to eat 5,000 calories per day to maintain where you're at is a whole different challenge in itself.
5,000 calories.
And he you'll eat skyline chili, and I'll eat a Milky Way or like something that's like not necessarily nutrient dense. He doesn't like no sauce, plain food, like plain bagels. Like,
how do you eat 5,000 calories like that?
A lot of food.
No sauces?
No.
My gosh. Dude, I couldn't do that.
A lot of food. It is a lot of food.
I guess this means I'm not going to be as big of a boy as Helmy someday. So, unless I can eat 5,000 calories, man.
I don't know. It's a lot of food. But anyway, so yes, like as I said, you there are struggles within it. And one thing is, like, I find that you can't do it by accident. Like, okay, yes, you can eat 3,500 calories if you have a Five Guys and you run milkshake, whatever. But to do it from Whole Foods is actually a challenge. And we were laughing there. You said you run 190 some grams of protein. I'm on 288 grams of protein. So current macros right now: protein 288 grams, carbs 418 grams, fat 74 grams, which I think is a pretty good split. Total calories 3,011. That's all from clean food. I didn't eat off plan. Like, I had rice and chicken 3 times. I had my oats. I had some Cocoa Pops. I suppose that's not real food. But overall, it's a lot of food and it's a lot of eating. However, I do feel strong in the gym and I do enjoy it. And I've actually embraced the fact that, probably for the first time ever, I've embraced the fact that I'm not lean. I'm a little bit like chunkier is probably the best way I can put it. But I think
the best word is fuller.
Yes, like, I am definitely fuller.
So I started walking, just walking over to get a soda over there.
Out of breath.
No, I was not out of breath, but I'm just like, I'm walking. I'm just like, I feel just my whole body is full. Like I'm just full everywhere. There's no like area of extreme leanness. Like my clothes are fitting tighter. But the weird part is I feel a lot. Like when you touch yourself, this is gonna sound weird. That's going into a sound bit, son of a bitch. When you touch yourself, it's like harder. It's even worse. It's even worse. I need to stop. Can you bleep this out? Gosh damn it! Oh my god! Listen, I mean is like the muscles are like more like puffed out and stronger. And anyways, gosh damn it, let's talk to a different subject here. I screwed.
The muscles are fuller, is what I say. And anybody who's not wishing, he's touching his shoulder and his chest.
Yes. So for those that are listening that don't have a visual, this went on a complete horrible rabbit hole. But it's one of those things where I just like feel much like stronger all over my body, and I fill out things a lot better. So my lifts have gone. I hit 565 on my conventional deadlift, and that's the strongest I've obviously ever been on that. So I mean, like, just going up in all numbers. And I also got the abductor machine, which I will not be taking videos of any of those anytime soon.
I need to see a form check video of your
no form check. No existence of that has ever occurred. So but
you know what? No, like I said this to you, and please, I guess we're in it now. I think about you every time I'm on the adductor. I don't know why.
Like, all right, this is when Dave and Ben went over the hill and then never stopped.
This is too far. No, I was on the adductor machine. On the adductor machine. It's like I genuinely really love the adductor machine. I just don't get why you don't love it. That's my thought every time I'm on it.
It's a vulnerable position. I don't like the vulnerable position. Like, like I understand, but like, it's the same thing for like thrusters. I don't want to be humping the air with a bunch of dudes around me. Like, this is not, I understand it's a movement. It's okay there, but it's just, I'm not comfortable with it. That's all. I don't know. I mean, I probably do it now. I don't care, but you know, like the adductor, and I have done, by the way, the adductor and abductors at the gym before, even that one time you broke the machine, but
yeah, don't know if I'll be allowed back.
Yeah, probably not allowed back, but no, but it's again, the calorie stuff has been really great. And I think that's what I was starting to miss, especially when we did that heavy cut, right? When I was on the 220, it was really, I would say stable as far as my weight training was going. I wasn't really moving up substantially, maybe a little tiny bit, but I didn't feel as strong. I didn't have as much energy. And when I'm in the gym now, it's just like, I just want to keep going. I got plenty of energy, plenty in the reserve, plenty in the hopper to keep going. Whereas when you're in a deficit, you don't have a lot of that additional strength and motivation and energy because you're not eating as much, you know, you're not as fulfilled with it. So, you know, gains are definitely much tougher when you're on a deficit. And that's like I think the coolest part about where I'm at in my position, and obviously where you're at in your position, is that, you know, we're comfortable enough to be able to not let this get out of control and to be able to eat, you know, fairly heavily and continue to pack on, you know, fat as a byproduct. And at the end of the day, be able to shrink it down and kind of taper ourselves off of it again to hopefully be. And again, the goal of this, and I don't think we've covered this, at least not in this episode, is that, you know, when I was at 220 lean, right, you could see visible abs. They were great. Everything looked great from a leanness perspective. Same for you. You're down to 210.
No, I was much leaner than that, or much lighter than that. Whenever like last year when I did my shoot, is that what you're talking about?
No, when you're more cut for Vegas.
Oh, yeah, it was about 207, I think, roughly.
Yeah. And so, you know, the goal is for Ben and for myself is that when we cut down this next time, so we're going to do, you know, through the fall, through the winter, you know, leading into spring, and then spring go into a hard cut so that for the summertime we remain lean, right?
I'm excited for. I'm
excited
I'm already ready to do
I'm gonna do a photo shoot. I said I was gonna do it.
Okay, do it. Let's book it in now. What date you want to do it? I'll add it to the calendar and I'll get everything booked. You can't back out of it now. It's on the internet.
I'm not gonna back out.
Okay.
But the goal is now when we cut, you know, before I was at 220 lean, will I be at 230 or 240 lean, right? So how much muscle mass can I add in this period of time of a surplus that allows me to pack on as much muscle during the wintertime, then shave it off so that I now have a leanness at a different weight. And I would love to be like someday in like the 260, 270 range lean. Like I'd be huge.
That
right?
would be huge.
I'd be a huge, but think about that. That's another like 50 pounds of muscle that I'd have to add for that, right? That's a lot of muscle. That's, you know, at least 5 years away probably. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, if I could still do it and, you know, I'm riding testosterone at a decent level, you know, very moderate level, I should still be able to continue to move up. Hopefully, you know, hopefully my genetics don't stop at saying, hey, you're good at this weight. But, you know, right now it's been good, but we'll see how far we can push it. Right.
Yeah. I'll say that it's always been my goal was always to get to 100 kilos, which is 220 pounds. But obviously I've been there many times, but the goal now is to be there lean. So last year when I did the shoot, I think it was about 190 whenever I did the shoot, and I was very lean. So if I could get closer to the 220 mark, I will also do a shoot, by the way, for anybody who hasn't called on, I'll do a shoot next year. We'll both do it together.
How many layers of tanning are we going to go through?
Don't worry, I'll have it all sorted. We need to decide whether you're doing it over there or over here, but that's a different conversation for a different time. So yes, I would like to be closer to 220. I feel like if I could be 220, like not just lean, but like shredded, ready for a photo shoot, that I would be happy with the physique overall. And then the goal, I mean, when I say the goal, that would be to maintain, but I think we'll just go through this cycle again the following year where we try and push up as high as possible. And then September next year, we'll be complaining about having the 4,000 calories, not 3,500 calories. But I think it's good that we fall into that natural cycle of, like you said, coming off the back of summer into fall into winter, and then we'll push this until like April time. And genuinely, like I think that we all know that I can do the cut thing pretty well. So I'm excited to see what that looks like on the other side.
Yeah, it's interesting. This last time around was probably the easiest cut phase that I had because the calories really weren't low. I think I was at like 2,500 calories, and that's very manageable for me at this rate of time. And I think that goes into the amount of work that you put into it, right? The more you're able to control your appetite and recognize it's okay to be hungry. You know, and it's okay to do things within limits. You usually can kind of curb that one way or the other. I never got to the extreme hunger phase of it, right? You know,
Chat
and
to
you
me in
have like
July.
you're
Chat to me in
insane.
July next year,
Yeah,
whenever you're
yeah.
like
Well, we're
coming
gonna use
into
some
the
hard
shit.
times. We're gonna see out there. We're gonna push it. But we also push, you know, calories really low pretty fast because we knew we could handle it, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like the ebbs and flows of what you're doing and how you're able to do it. You know, as long as you're hitting your protein goals to really try to sustain muscle growth, you're going to recognize that you're going to be sluggish in the gym. You're not going to be able to get as many gains. You're going to be fairly tired here and there. You know, I remember, you know, because I do Orange Theory and then I do a lift. I actually do my lift in the afternoon, going with my son on 4:30. But you know, it's one of those things where like I know I would go into the gym and I'd be like, I do not want to do this at all. Like I am so tired, and I still do it, but it was just a shit workout because I don't have the calories yet, you know, to go and do it. Now I'm just like, yeah, let's go. Like I'll be in there for like hours. Saturday, I must have been in the gym for 4.5 hours. Like I'm not even messing with you. Like I got up at like 7:00 and I was in there till like noon.
And Dave wonders why he's losing 4 pounds in a week.
Yeah.
I think
it was just so much fun, you know. Like I just had a good time, right? You know.
Yeah, but I'm excited. Like I never like to be the person who said that I've been busy, but the past few weeks just with trying to like coordinate events and actually do my quote unquote normal job, I've had a lot on. But I'm excited that I don't essentially have anything aside from my quote unquote normal job to do until we have the event in February. I'm excited to actually really have the time set aside to be able to spend some time training. Like today, I had a really good session. And one thing I've actually realized, and I think that this will be a good thing to go through in terms of like understanding a little bit more, because I'm in the stage where strength is good, and I don't want to say everything feels easy, but I definitely feel strong in pretty much everything that I'm doing. I'm starting to notice where things break down first. So for example, I was doing incline Smith machine press earlier on, and like I didn't have any issues with my chest. I started to feel like my elbows go, so I realigned where I was pressing from and sort of solved that issue. And then I realized that my triceps are probably a weakness in that area. So like being able to delve a little bit deeper and not sort of just rely on as soon as everything starts to break down, like that's how you feel, and that's obviously where it's coming from. So having a little bit more of an understanding as to what's actually breaking down and where the weaknesses are within the movement, I think it'll be an interesting process. And as I said, you know, this week we'll grab some time and we'll build out each other's training block with full body push and full body push on a Monday, or full body pull on a Monday and Tuesday. Your idea, I'll give you the credit, because I think it'll be good for a frequency across the week thing. And as you said, then not have to spend 4 hours in the gym training legs on a Saturday.
So how's it? I'm actually curious. So like right now, I currently do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday rest. There's Orange Theory. Yeah. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah. So is it going to be push, pull, rest, push, pull, push?
No. So the way that we will do this is full body push on a Monday, full body pull on a Tuesday, or the other way around. Doesn't really matter. Then Thursday, full body pull, upper body push, and then lower body and arms is the way that I'll structure it. So you get an opportunity to hit legs on a Monday, a Tuesday, a Thursday, and a Saturday. So essentially 4 days. The only reason I'm not doing full body push on a Friday is to give you some time to recover to get into your leg session on a Saturday.
Yeah, so like what I was thinking is if we just did like a full body pull or push Monday and Tuesday.
Good idea. Sounds good. Sign me up. But yeah, I think that's the best way to approach it, because it will allow us to do the same volume across the week, but not have to sort of rinse and repeat. And actually, one really good lesson that I guess everybody learned whenever we were training on Saturday, we were trying to sort of not teach intensity, but show what it looks like and show how you can get more from less. And essentially what we wanted to get across was that you can do more work per set, so you don't have to do more sets. Yeah. So basically we just put everybody on a leg extension and they went until they couldn't go anymore. And instead of like spreading that across 3 sets, just giving full intensity to 1 set, you can get as much adaptation and stimulus from that 1 set versus doing 2 or 3 sets. And I think it went down well. I think from a time efficiency and effective perspective, it's a good tool to have. And I also think while we talk about intensity quite a lot, it's something that has to be, it's a learned skill. Like I can't just take you into the gym for the first day and go, right, we're going to go to failure on hack squat. We'll do 30 reps because you'll never want to go, you'll never go to walk again, and or you'll never be back to the gym again.
Yeah, it's interesting because like it's usually what I try to do. Like if let's just say it's my first set for bicep curls, and you know my goal is 12. Okay, just as an example, if I get to 12 and I can still go more, I'll go more, and I'll keep going until I can't do another one, right? And then I'll do the same thing for the third one, and I'll increase my weight because I don't want to get 14 or 16 or things like that, and I'll remember that for next time to increase the weight even more. But I'm trying to hurt my muscle as much as possible from a fatigue perspective, even on the first or second or third set, as I'm going through, because again, the more that you do that, the better it's going to be for the time under tension, the amount of volume that you're pushing through your muscles, and the less amount of sets that you're going to have to do. There'll be times where if I'm not pushing it, I notice I have to do like 5 or 6 sets before my muscles are actually burned out, right? I usually do a little, which what you taught me, but it's my idea though, is I do a lot of back off sets as well too, right? So, if I do like 3 really hard sets and I'm just exhausted and gassed because they were so heavy and I'm just like, F this machine, I'll take some of the weights off, maybe just say 50% of the weights off, and then I'll just bang out as many as I can until failure on those, because I'm pushing the volume more than I am the strength itself. And it's less taxing. And I put that in quotation marks because once you start getting to those last final sets, you're just like, I hate my life, but you're still accomplished as you do it. I'll tell you, this weekend, I got that Arsenal Strength 4 squat machine, and I was actually getting nervous that my family could hear me from next door because I was screaming so loud as I'm going up. I'm like, like like I'm not going to do that again. But it was definitely really difficult to push through. But again, that intensity can make a big difference, and even half reps can make a difference as well. There's Jeff Nipper's been doing a lot of series on half reps lately, and he just did a series on legs and arms for including half reps into those. And the whole thing is, even doing half reps, if you can't get fully up all the way, incorporating things like half reps can make a big difference when it comes to just hitting those muscles even further and just squeezing the last amount of glycogen out of them to really get the muscle hypertrophy action there. So there's just so many great things you can do, but intensity does make a big difference when you're doing it, and having the calories definitely makes a big difference as well. I did see something on Mind Pump recently too. There was a question that came up that was, should you eat, candy during working out? And there's actually a good suggestion there, which is usually if you're doing really long endurance-based exercises, absolutely right, like running, things like that, but probably not necessary for weight training to be sitting there, pounding candy as you're actually eating. Because you typically have around 5,000 calories of reserve essentially in your body at a given time, and you're not going to be burning 5,000 calories during a lift. So you typically have enough glycogen and calories to be able to get through that lift properly, even on a fasted stomach. By the way, it doesn't mean don't especially if it's like midday or things like that. Don't having a meal prior to workout, especially one that's heavy on complex carbs if it's a couple hours before, or simple carbs if it's going to be just half hour, 45 minutes before. But those can make a big difference when you're spiking glucose to get the amount of energy to your muscles at that given time and replenish them in a fast way as you're going through and doing your rest cycles. So it can make a difference prior to, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend during as a main thing for that.
Yeah, I've actually taken things to the other side of the extreme on that, because I sort of thought, whenever I add calories in, I always try to add them majority around pre and post workout, because I think that's when they're going to be most beneficial. And I've taken things to the extreme before where I actually eat too much before I train. So I'd have, like, instead of having 70 grams of oats, I would have 100 grams, and then I'd have a bagel and I'd have jam, and then I'd eat a protein bar on the way out. And by the time I get to the gym, all I want to do is have a nap. So there is like going to the other extreme for it, where it gets counterproductive. I sort of find the sweet spot where about 90 grams of oats suits me. If I have it 2 hours before, it gives me plenty of time to digest it. And then I have more in my post-workout meal, which tends to work out a little bit better. Just what you're saying there about tools in the toolbox, like that was a big sort of conversation that we were having last week in terms of how you can make things slightly different or arm yourself slightly differently, that understanding you don't need to use all of the tools, but there are, or should be, endless amounts of tools in the toolbox whenever it comes to your training. The one thing that I'm going to add into both of our trainings come this week is mechanical drop sets. Just you talking about biceps there. So you've heard us talk about the strength profile of your muscle before, essentially going from strong to weak. So it's understanding how to not manipulate that, but sort of work it to your advantage. That you can cover all bases and sort of fatigue in a slightly different way. So we'll go through that whenever I map out your new training block this week. But it was fun to see how you can take one exercise and create a greater level of intensity, pretty much doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, these are all just different ways of attacking muscles and hitting muscles the right way, right? You know, it's so cool because like if you look at bicep curls, you know, for example, we're going to hit one part of your bicep, whereas hammer curls are going to hit a different one, whereas seated, you know, inclines are going to hit a different part of the muscle itself. So there's different ways of attacking different muscles and an emphasis on, you know, the progressive overload slash, you know, muscle hypertrophy aspects and to failure. But it's really cool to be able to kind of tweak things and mess with things. You know, we had done BFRs for a long time as well. I haven't done those in a while. I probably should, you know, get back to those and do those more because those were a ton of fun and exhausting, and I haven't done those. So maybe a good time to incorporate those as well, except leg BFRs. F those. I'm never doing those again. But the arm BFRs are fine in my opinion. But you know, it's those differences that can get you those extra little gains as you're going through. And again, you know, our biggest fear here at Hacking Your Health is, you know, working out for an entire year and not seeing any type of progress whatsoever. That sounds like a friggin' nightmare. So we definitely want to continue to make gains in whatever way we could do that and squeeze out just a little bit more extra effort. Gonna go and do. I did find there was an interesting study here that again just emphasizes, you know, any type of physical activity, whether it's cardiovascular work or cardio fitness or muscle training. There's a study that came out of the Lifespan Neuroscience and Cognition Lab. And basically what they did is they did a study around folks that, especially in their older ages, were active from a fitness perspective, both, you know, muscle training as well as cardiovascular health and putting their bodies under some sort of you know, exercise strain. And what they found is that the folks that did exercise, they had much higher levels of cognitive function and lesser ability or chance to have cognitive decline and mimic those of their early aged individuals, early aged cognitive functionality versus those that didn't had substantial cognitive decline, including, you know, things like Alzheimer's and you know, neurodegenerative issues that happen in the brain. So it actually kept their brain younger, more fit, and, you know, it's like anything, right? It's, if you use that muscle, i.e. doing puzzles, there's a study that showed that by doing puzzles keeps your mind young as well. So if you're just doing puzzles that kind of rack your brain and things like that, my wife, I'm sure, is like age 5 at this point because she just does puzzles all day long at night before she's going to bed. She's insane at that stuff. But, you know, but it's those types of activities where if you work the muscle, you work your body, you have good things that happen because of that. And if you don't use it, you're sedentary, or you just don't you know, use your mind or brain, it's going to decline from a cognitive perspective as well as from an overall physical fitness perspective. And that our brain is basically one big part of our body. Obviously, it's the highest calorie burner, by the way, in our body, and as well as one of our largest components that we keep for processing power and ATP production. But, you know, it's one of those things where if we work out, your chances of ailments substantially drop, from cancer, from Alzheimer's, from diabetes, from everything else that you can name out there. It's all linked to moving around and being active. And there's no better cure for longevity than going out there and being fit. So if you want to live longer, you want to live happier, you want to have better cognitive functionality, be better at your job, whether it's hacking or whatever you're doing, it's literally going and working out. There's nothing else. It's not, you know, a supplement. It's not vitamin D or C, you know, or fish oils. I mean, those can help, obviously. Vitamin C less or so, vitamin D and fish oils for sure. But it's not going to make that substantial change in your life that is so catastrophic in changing the course of when you live and die and how you feel and how you don't feel than fitness. Making those changes are huge.
I agree. And I mean, I was actually just off a call just before we came on the podcast. And I was actually sort of delving in a little bit more to like the other stuff that the training gave me, obviously besides the job. But like the confidence, not just in my confidence as like myself as a person, but my confidence in my ability to do difficult things, and like confidence in terms of like the evidence to show that I can do difficult things time and time again. So yes, okay, it's great for health. It's great for longevity. It's great for keeping you young and actually keeping your body moving. But the other benefits that come along with it, you don't ever think. Like, number one, a community of people who just are badass and love lifting heavy shit. I'm in for that all day long. Like I said, the confidence that came along with it, the physical and mental strength and how they go hand in hand. So there's so much more to it that simply going to the gym and lifting weights can sort of inject into your life.
No question about it. And I'll tell you, once you get refined with what we're doing, so, we talked a lot about the caloric surplus and deficits and things like that. Then you start getting into like, what can I do more to help this or aid this? And what does the science say? And what does the research say? And then you can start making little tweaks, and those tweaks, like supplements, maybe a 1% increase, right? In if you're doing things right and listening to your body and getting micronutrient tested and stuff like that. Creatine, obviously a great supplement from that side. Although I haven't been using it lately. I stopped using it. I don't know. I should probably
no wonder you lost 4 pounds.
Well, when I had the liver thing, going on with it, I thought I had stage 2 liver kidney failure. Sorry, it's kidney. I was like, I don't know. I'm going to stop everything that's like might be screwing me up. I was all concerned, but then they're like, oh yeah, you're JK, you're good. I'll go back on creatine again.
It was funny. We were sat around breakfast one night, and it was on the Saturday. Jen, who was with us, was going for a PR, and she was like, number one, she's a badass, and number two, she fucking hates not progressing. And she was going for a PR, and it was like, I think it worked out at 231 on the deadlift. And she went for it for like 2 or 3 times, and she wasn't getting it. And we just had to call the day. And I was like, look, fair enough. You still have hit a PR in terms of what you had done up until this point. And then the next day we were having a conversation around creatine. She's like, no, I don't really take it. And I was like, sort of out the corner of my mouth, like, that's why you didn't hit the PR yesterday. And she was fucking raging, like she was so mad. It was a joke, by the way, Jen, if you're listening, but I do recommend to go on creatine, and I'm definitely.
He wasn't joking.
No, I wasn't joking at all. No. But no, in terms of that.
Yeah, it's the small changes that can make it once you start to refine. But again,
once you nail everything else, do you know what I mean?
You have to nail everything else.
Call the
nutrition, sleep, recovery, regiment around training. Like, those are the things that you need to get down first and pad. And don't, because I always get asked, like, what supplements you take? I'm like, well, what's your regimen look like? Like, don't touch any supplements. All right, you're good. Like, you're not even consistently sleeping. You're not consistently working out. You're not consistently eating.
What's the best supplement you can take? What's the best supplement you take? 8 hours sleep. Come back to me. Come back to me and you nail that one. And
let me know what different. By the way, sleep is anabolic, right? Yeah. I mean, your body is repairing itself. It's fixing itself. It's healing the brain. It's healing your mind. It's healing your body. Everything about you is regulated based off of sleep. And if you're not getting enough sleep, you're not healing. You're not, repairing. Your testosterone is off. Everything is off when it comes to that. So, sleep is fundamentally probably one of the most important aspects that you can do. Other than sleep, it's sleep.
Well, I think
sleep. If you're not sleeping, everything else just degrades.
Even nutrition, and my sleep has been genuinely. My sleep has been awful recently. I've just been having to stay, like you said, having to stay up late, get up early to do work, and that's just part of owning a business sometimes. But I've sort of set myself that from essentially this week, at least until the end of the year, I'm really going to focus on sleep and actually just set the boundaries for myself that I tell everybody else to set. Because yes, okay, well, it's I didn't go to bed until midnight and then I get up at 4 a.m. Fine. Sometimes you have to do it, but that's not something that is in any way in line with longevity whatsoever. So it's my goal to set the boundaries with myself in terms of sleep, get proper sleep, and actually feel the benefits of it the other side. I slept for 11 hours and 42 minutes from Saturday to Sunday. Now, not intentionally, like I sat down and watched a movie with Harper and like woke up at fucking like 8 o'clock the next morning. I was like, what the fuck? But it showed me that I've been pushing things too hard. I need to sort of rein it in because my body's just going to fucking tell me absolutely no. And I don't want to get to that stage. So yeah, get your hydration in, get your nutrition in, lift your weights, do your cardio, go outside, then worry about supplements after that.
Yeah. Now, I have one more thing to report before we wrap up the podcast.
Is it an idea about doing a full body push and a full body pull workout on a Monday and Tuesday? Because I think that's an awesome.
How did you know that? Oh my God. Like, it's amazing. Like we're such a level you can read my mind on the ideas that I have. I mean, I thought I was being innovative, but you read my mind and now you're innovative too. So like, we're both innovative here. So no, it's actually.
Can we take a minute that we didn't coordinate this? We're wearing the same color shirt. I don't know how we've done that.
We are.
Anyway.
No, we're not. Yeah, we're not.
We are.
No, yours is green and mine is like a
they look the same color. Can't just say you're the same color.
It's not the same color.
The same color.
I have green underwear on. How's that?
Too much information.
And we already got into how my body's hard. So, like, I mean, for crying out loud. No, the one thing I want to mention is, and I talked about this before on the podcast, is that, I had bariatric surgery done a number of years ago, which caused issues at gastric bypass. And it's kicked off something called hyporeactive glycemia or hypo. Anyways, it's something like that. Hyporeactive glycemia, I think is what it is. Anyways, it's when my body, normally with your stomach, your acids and everything break down the foods, and then it basically sends a signal to your body to say, hey, I need you to start kicking in some insulin so that you can, curb this spike in glucose. And with me specifically, in the hyperactive side of the house, my body doesn't get that signal. And what happens is it takes, like, my body basically goes into an area where, the pancreas, releases insulin, and there's no valve there that detects the insulin coming through, or the glucose coming through, or the sugar. And what ends up happening is I start to, like, spike really high in glucose levels. So I almost look like a diabetic basically at that point in time, right? And you'll see from there, like, my insulin then shoots in, and then every so often, if I eat something super sugary, it'll shoot my insulin down so low that I almost pass out. I'll get jittery. I'll get, like, very tired and sluggish. I get sweaty. I got no energy whatsoever. I've actually tried lifting during those periods of time, and it's a no-go. Like, it's not happening. There's zero, because I have literally no glucose in my system. It's crashed. And so when I get those crashes, I have to then, spike up some very quick, simple carbohydrates, i.e. candy, or, I have these little shots that are like 15 grams of glucose, just immediate distribution to spike that glucose back up. Hopefully not too much to spike it back down again. And so it's been like this thing I've been trying to figure out, but I figured out the CGMs, which is great. And one thing that I just found recently, and this is why I do what I do, because I sat there and I just had it was the weekend. It was 2 weekends ago. And I had a night where nothing was going on. So I picked up a couple of Mountain Dew seltzers, 5% alcohol. Had some alcohol a little bit. I was drinking a little bit of alcohol. And I was on the computer researching some scientific studies based on hyporeactive glycemia. And I started looking at some of the newer studies around. There was one in 2022 and one in 2023 that showed some early signs of potentially curbing those in folks that had bariatric surgery, and specifically the gastric bypass. And the studies had shown that there are ways of curbing it, and some of the most effective ones, at least on early trials, and again, this is real small sample studies, we're talking like 15, 20 people, showed that there's a drug called Acrobos, which is basically, it's a gut-based, stomach-based gastrointestinal regulator that stops the conversions of starches to sugars. So it doesn't actually spike glucose as much. And so I started taking that last week. And by the way, I've tried curbing my diets too. So, like, even when I eat oatmeal, it could happen, and that's, and I'm talking whole wheat,
cooked, yeah.
Right? But whole grains, everything. I mean, any types of carbs has the potential of spiking in, and then I crash, right? And then obviously I can't ever have ice cream. I can't ever do, like, super, sweet foods or things like that, or cake or anything like that. It's out of the equation, or else I just start crashing. And so I started taking Acrobos, and the way it works is you take it right before you eat. So I just take a small, tiny pill, 25 milligram pill, and I drink it, and then I can eat, whatever I want to. Now, I've been pushing the limits a little bit just to try it. At first, I started off real small, eating some wheat thins, for example, or, doing oatmeal, for example, and I felt great. And even when I would eat, like, let's just say, I'd make these whole wheat egg McMuffins with cheese and everything else, and I'd still spike, and I'd feel sweaty. I'd feel like I'd start to spike in. My core temperature is increasing because my glucose is spiking high, and then I get that crash again. So, even like those types of foods were starting to impact me. I was getting more sensitive to insulin, which is a good thing, but bad thing for my, when you have the crashes because of the lack of the communication with the stomach, and so in the pancreas. And so what I found now is 2 days ago, we celebrated Erin's birthday, and she had this big ice cream cake from Dairy Queen. And I took a really huge slab. I had the calories anyway, so why not? And I took Acrobos to that, and I pounded that whole thing. It must have been like 700 calories of sugar, and had no issue, nothing, not even a little bit. Didn't get sweaty. Didn't have the gastrointestinal issues. I typically call dumping syndrome that happens with it. And it's really interesting that it's been able to curb that, at least, with a very low dose of it, and doing it before, because it stops those conversions and my insulin spiking really heavily. So I think at least I got it manageable and under control for now. Still too soon to tell, but I've had zero issues and I feel so much better. And I think that's the cool part about going through these studies, because like I've talked to my doctor about this multiple times, and they're like, yeah, there's nothing you can do about it. Like, you just have to not eat sugar stuff. I'm like, well, cool. I'm fine with that. Like, I have a pretty well-balanced diet, but every once in a while I like to have an ice cream cone, so
live it all, right?
Yeah. But so, show the studies, no side effects. It's a type 2 diabetes drug that's been around for 50 years. The only issue they might have is you might get some upset or bloating, and luckily haven't had any of that. I get it anyway when I take ice cream. It just, again, causes dumping. So I'm in the bathroom just, clean out my intestines basically. But it's been a really good thing. But that's the cool part of power that we have today, and the information that we have, is diving down into your problems and figuring them out. And then looking at the research, interpreting that research, and even using things like ChatGPT can help you simplify if you don't understand certain studies or things, or having it kind of summarize it up a bit. But at least helps you kind of get an understanding around what you're dealing with, and things that you can suggest to your doctor to really kind of curb maybe the issues that you're having. Now, this is a long tangent here. It'll be a short tangent, but this originally started because a number of years ago when I was obese, I got the gastric sleeve, which is where they take your stomach and they basically cut it into a small sleeve basically, and it goes straight down. And at the time I had a hiatal hernia, and they didn't know enough data about that specific surgery. And if you have a hiatal hernia, they won't even operate on you anymore with the sleeve, because it's such a issue. Because what happens then is your acid builds up in your stomach in this small, tiny pouch, and then it shoots all the acid up into your chest, and you can get Barrett's esophagus, which is basically precancerous, and all these other health issues. I wish I could have went back in time to say, Dave, you're going to get this under control. Just find Ben early, Ben. He's probably still, a bartender. So Ben, can you do some training here for me, Ben?
Fucking crazy American with a DeLorean parked outside. Been like, I need future you to get your shit together.
I need future you to get your shit together. But hindsight 2020, it would have been great not to have had that surgery, and not have any of these issues, and been able to take control of my life without having to go the bariatric surgery route, because I didn't have the knowledge, and I tried everything that I thought, and I had failed. And then even after the surgery, I was still failing, right? I was still gaining weight. I still couldn't get myself under control, even after all of the medical procedures and, medicine and everything else that had gone out there. It took me changing the framework, how I do things, how I look at life, how I have regiments and sleep, nutrition, and regiment of training. And obviously an awesome trainer, which is myself now. So
yourself and all your great ideas.
Right, my great ideas. But no, obviously all that's helped. But it's just a word of caution to the folks out there listening, is that, there's a lot of drugs coming out now around Moderna, Wegovy, semaglutide, tirzepatide right now. And those are being looked at as like the miracle drugs, but it's, there's going to be some major impacts that you have to take into consideration. If you're taking those drugs, they're GLP-1 agonists, and so they basically shut down your mind from thinking it's hungry. So you never eat. What happens if you're not eating, and especially if you're not getting enough protein, which they've shown in study after study for study. Just Dr. Attia did a study on the Drive recently on this one, where the majority of patients taking semaglutide or tirzepatide are losing massive amounts of muscle mass, including while they get older, which is not what you want. You want bone density and muscle mass as you get older, which is an indicator of longevity. If you're losing that along with the weight, that's not a good thing. That's a bad thing. That means that you're decreasing your lifespan. Even though you're losing the weight, you're still decreasing your lifespan based off of the muscle mass. Now, I'm not saying that's not great from an obesity perspective, cancer, everything else, reduction, but you have to balance the two as you're going and doing it. So just be careful with how you do things. If you're going to do it, have a good framework and system around to be able to ensure that you're getting adequate protein, you're training appropriately while you're dropping the weight as you're going through. There was a study recently that just came out and showed that, everybody was talking about Ozempic, being the miracle weight loss drug. Well, the new one, tirzepatide, which is the phase 1, phase 2 clinical trials have been out for a while, and it's been known, if you follow the science behind it, that tirzepatide is substantially better than Ozempic from a weight loss perspective because it's hitting 2 of the GLP-1 receptors versus just 1. So it gives you a much more fuller effect on it. So you're seeing almost double the amount of success with that than the which is Mounjaro. Mounjaro. Sorry, it's hard to pronounce these ones. But that one is much more effective than Wegovy, which is the Ozempic one. So, again, if you're going to do those, cool, but have a good framework around it. Understand what you're doing to your body. Understand you need enough protein. Understand you need regiment, or else you're going to kind of wither away, and it's not going to be good for you.
Yeah, and I've actually had clients that have been on semaglutide and have come to me, and the frustration now lies in they've lost weight for so long, and now that they're not taking it and they're actually looking after themselves, they're not losing weight. But I guess the positive in it is their body composition is changing, so they're starting to regain the muscle. And yes, okay, their weight is sort of staying the same, but their body composition is changing. So I think the biggest thing of the whole thing is don't just do it because someone has told you to do it, including ourselves. Like, go and do the research and make sure that you have an understanding of what the thing is that you're actually undertaking and what the potential impacts and implications are of like the right now and the down the line thing.
Yep. So just be careful, again, everything within moderation, and understand what you're doing to your body, the things that you're taking, those are all important things to consider. So
yeah, for sure. Well, I just want to say thanks everybody for listening. I don't say this often enough, but I am actually a coach, and I do actually have options for coaching. I no longer have any space availability for one-to-one at all whatsoever, like full capacity.
Congrats.
No more one-to-one. Cannot take any more full. However, the group, I've changed the model of the group, and basically we have monthly onboarding. So everybody starts as a sort of smaller cohort, started in September, really successful launch of that. The next one is launching 4th of October. So if you want to be a part of that, the link to book the call is in the bio, in the description. A lot of things changing over the next couple of weeks and months in terms of how the group is done, bringing a lot more people in, a lot more value in it for everybody. So if you want to join the team, let me know and we can have a conversation.
Well, appreciate everybody listening to this week's podcast of Hacking Your Health. Tune in for another week, another day, another dollar, another tip of learning how to get better with your health. So I don't know where I was going with that, but or Dave talking about feeling his body. But anyways, thanks for tuning in for this week and bearing with us, and we'll catch you all next week. Take it easy.
See you next week.